Hi, the book that we're going to be talking about today is called Proust and the Squid, The Story and Science of the Reading Brain by Maryanne Wolf. This book is about the story of the reading brain over centuries and in our lifetime. It gives us an early history of how our species learned to read. It also tells us about the developmental life cycle of reading from childhood to adulthood. And finally, it tells us about the science and the story of what's going on when the brain can't learn to read. The implications of understanding all of these three systems goes a long way because it provides us with pathways to teach reading, especially to those with reading or processing disabilities. The book took me many hours over many years to read because I could not complete it in one sitting. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. While I think parts of the book were good, it was the author's first attempt at non-academic writing for the public, and so it comes out as extremely technical and dense even for me. I had to push myself to finish it. The author's son is dyslexic, and so there's also a biased account of dyslexia. Maryanne Wolf, the author, is the director for the Center of Dyslexia at UCLA Graduate School of Education, and she previously taught at Tufts University. She's written many. Why is the book called Proust and the Squid? The author uses the French novelist Marcel Proust, who was considered to be one of the most influential authors of the 20th century, and the squid, made famous by your Squid Games and known to be amongst the most intelligent of invertebrates, as analogies for two very different aspects of reading. The first is how reading transforms our lives intellectually through insights without having to ever leave the comfort of our chairs, or how books can make us feel certain ways and they can give us a sort of divine pleasure. Books can conjure up memories, they can elicit sensations. You can travel through Middle Earth or Narnia and meet princes and paupers or dragons and damsels all through words. So she says reading is an enabler because it allows us the perspective of another person's consciousness, and so it's very enriching. Second, indicates how neurons in our brain fire and they transmit to each other, and sometimes they repair and compensate when things don't go as planned or if things go wrong. Although the book is dated, there are some notes that I took from it which I really thought were important. First is the human brain has some design principles. It has a capacity to make new connections among older structures. I knew this, but it was nice to have it so succinctly put in the book. Second is the capacity to form areas of specialization. Now, we all know this, but nevertheless, seeing it as a design principle was something different for me. Third is the ability to learn, to recruit and connect information from these areas automatically is something else that is characteristic of the human brain. So it was nice to read her views on it. In the second half of the book, she discussed reading difficulties. She talked about theories and origins, and she presented a rather optimistic view of reading disabilities. I say this because, much like her own son, my son too lives with dyslexia. She looked at programs which could be more successful with reading disabilities. For example, those that focus on phoneme awareness and grapheme-phoneme correspondence. A reader who's not familiar with these terms may not be able to survive this book. I do think her anxieties about the rising digital age were a bit excessive, although I agreed that information overload and filtering are issues. But I have faith that humans adapt, a premise that she herself has espoused in the beginning of her book. All in all, this book is for students of psychology or those working with kids, children. There's a link to the book below if you want to buy it, which if you use it, no extra cost to you. I get credit to buy more books to review. I also have a newsletter that offers you self-help resources that have been verified by me. If you wish to subscribe to those, the link is below as well. Until next time, happy trails to you.